Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're a rideshare driver and need to lodge your business activity statement, this video will guide you through the process step by step. I've shared a business activity statement lodging guide before, but this is the updated version, ensuring you can submit your business activity statement accurately and avoid mistakes. This video is for educational purposes only. I'm not a tax agent. While I'll walk you through the process, always consult a registered tax professional for advice tailored to your situation. Now let's get started. I'm going to make every quarter ready for you. There will be 4 quarters in total. Here's the breakdown. July to September, first quarter. October to December, second quarter. January to March, third quarter. And April to June is your fourth quarter. As you can see, it takes quite a bit of time to prepare the workbook for you, so to save your time, I'm going to speed up this part of the video. Once you've completed quarter 1, you'll simply move to the next sheet for quarter 2, then quarter 3, and finally quarter 4. Once you've downloaded your tax summary, the next step is to enter your income into the G1 section, which is your income section on the business activity statement. In the income section, you'll need to enter the following details: gross transportation fares, split fare fee, toll reimbursement, miscellaneous, city government fees, airport fees, booking fees, delivery income if applicable, miscellaneous, referrals, incentives, other income, such as tips. In your Uber tax summary, these categories will be listed. So go ahead and open your tax summary to find each income source, like gross transportation fares or split fare fees. Other than your Uber income, if you have earnings from other rideshare platforms like Ola, Didi, or Shiba, or if you make money from deliveries, be sure to include that in the G1 section. The same goes for any freelancing income you earn. Just add it all in this section. Now, I'm going to add some income as an example and show you the calculation method. The same formula or calculation method applies to the G11 section for expenses. Alright, our gross transportation fares are $5,587.21. We're going to divide this by 11 in the GST column, then press Tab to move to the net income column. Next, we subtract $507.93 GST from our gross income, which gives us a net income of $5,079.28. As I mentioned, the same method applies to both the G1 and G11 sections. Now fill in your January, February, and March incomes, and at the end, we'll sum up. Now let's sum up our G1, which represents our total income or sales. First, click on the cell where you want the total to appear. Go to the top right and click on the AutoSum button. Then click and drag the corner of the selected cell upwards to cover all the income values. Once done, press Tab or Enter to confirm. Now repeat the same steps for the GST column and the net income column. This ensures that everything is correctly summed up and calculated. Before moving on, double check the totals to make sure everything looks accurate. Now let's move on to our G11 section, which represents our expenses. First, we'll add our service fees from the monthly tax summary. Then, for the remaining categories like split fare fees, tolls, city government fees, airport fees, and booking fees, we simply copy and paste them from our G1 section. These are amounts we've already paid to the rideshare company, so we're claiming the GST back as an expense for these payments. You might be wondering why we're copying the same figures from the G1 section to the G11 section. Well, that's because the ATO requires us to declare both sides of the equation. We'll use the same method for February and March, and don't forget to include service fees from your monthly tax summary. Now, let's move on to the second part of our G11 section. These are the expenses you spend on your business. This includes costs like car expenses, internet, phone bills, music subscriptions, rider amenities, sunglasses, and more. Since some of these expenses are used for both business and personal purposes, you'll need to estimate what percentage is for business use. The same applies to your car expenses, music subscriptions, internet, and phone bills. We'll go through the process of calculating the business use percentage for these expenses and how to enter them correctly. Now let's calculate the business portion of our car expenses. We're assuming that the car is used 80% for business purposes. To calculate this, we take our total fuel expense for the month, $751.50, and multiply it by 80%. That gives us $601.20 as the amount spent for business use. Remember, we can't claim personal expenses on the business activity statement. Next, we apply the same formula we used in the income section and part 1 of our expenses. To calculate GST, we divide $601.20 by 11. GST is $54.65. To find our net fuel expense, we subtract GST from the total $601.20 minus $54.65. Our net fuel expense is $546.55. The same calculation process also applies to other expenses. There are some expenses like water that don't include GST. In this case, we simply enter the amount as it is. The same calculation method we used for January also applies to February and March, so be sure to repeat the process accordingly. After entering all our expenses for each month, it's time to total them up. Click on the cell where you want the total to appear, then go to the top right and click on the Auto Sum button. Drag the corner of the selected cell all the way up to cover part 1 of our expenses section, then hit Enter or Tab. This gives us our gross expenses. Repeat the same steps for the GST 1B column and the net expenses column to ensure everything is accurately summed up. Now that we've completed our income and expenses sections, let's move on to the business activity statement summary. In the summary, it is asking for our total income. To find this, go to G1, where our total income is $21,125.75. Since it's more than 50 cents, we round this up to $21,126 and enter it in the summary. When it asks, does this include GST? We select yes. Next, we move to GST on sales 1A. Our GST on sales, 1A, is $1,920.52. Since the cents are more than 50, we round this up to $1,921 and add it to the summary. Now, for GST on expenses, 1B, our amount is $1,068.72, so we round it up to $1,069 and enter this in the summary as well. Finally, we subtract 1A from 1B. This gives us the amount we need to pay to the ATO. Alright guys, we're not done yet. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button and smash the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support keeps us going and helps us bring you more valuable content. Important things to remember. Not all expenses are tax deductible. Here are some personal expenses that cannot be claimed: clothing, coffee, fines, food, parking at home or at your employer's job, personal comfort and hygiene, prescription glasses, unless they are sunglasses used for work. Additionally, some expenses don't include GST and therefore cannot be claimed on your business activity statement, but they are still tax deductible on your end-of-year income tax return: bank fees, car depreciation, car loan interest and repayments, car registration, some government fees and licenses. Lastly, the ATO requires a tax invoice for any expense over $82.50. For expenses under $82.50, a receipt or bank statement is enough. Finally, we're ready to lodge our business activity statement. To lodge your business activity statement, sign in to your MyGov account and navigate to the ATO section. Click on Prepare, and if your business activity statement needs to be lodged, you'll see Required in red. Click Edit, then enter your total sales, G1, which is $21,126. When asked, does this include GST? Select Yes. Next, enter GST on sales 1A as $1,921 and GST on purchases 1B as $1,069. Once everything is entered, click Save and Continue, then Submit. Congratulations, you've successfully lodged your business activity statement on your own. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell for more helpful content. See you in the next video.